let's meet our final stranger, Alicia.
So my name's Alicia, and I come from a very large family, and I'm my dad's favorite. So my dad's my best friend, and I'm definitely a Spitfire. So I'm very grateful for that because my little mini-me is going to be one as well.
Aww. Nice. Let's read Alicia's question. What did Alicia and her best friend convince their divorced parents to do? Marry each other, invest $65,000 in their cupcake business. Which one? Now, Lisa, you said marry. Why?
She said she's a Spitfire,
yes.
And so I saw that little parent trap kind of thing going on, and I could see them getting into, wouldn't it be great if our parents married each other and we'd be sisters and best friends?
Let's reveal Alicia's answer, shall we?
David Alan Grier, there are so many things I want to talk to you about because you've been a part of so many projects in my life. But first off, what did Alicia pick? What did she do?
Fuck if I know, man. Shit, it was a...
Day job. I show up, I did it, and I walked out.
What did she pick? I don't know, man. It's early. She picked something. Shit.
Tell them next time to not leave you with a clip that has a cliffhanger.
Well, no, but I couldn't really hear it back there, so sorry. I screwed up the first question. You already lost faith in me. He's like, man, some bullshit, man.
The answer is fucked if I know. You didn't screw up the question at all. You actually killed it. What about Snap Decision? How did this come about?
It's a game show, you know. But here's the deal, man. For me, in my mind, for something to be successful, especially like a game show, it's just an excuse for me to interact with people and hopefully be playful, improvisational, have fun. That's where real, organic comedy comes from, and that makes it enjoyable for everyone else. And that was just a simple goal, you know what I mean? And I feel like at this point in my career and in show business, you can traverse all these mediums, which used to be restricted. You know, it's like if you were on daytime television, that's where you died. I mean, you could not go to nighttime. You couldn't do a movie. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. Well, now everybody does a little bit of everything, and you can just walk in different neighborhoods and find out what's cool.
Yeah, you're a classically trained actor, right?
Finally.
And
yes, I am, sir.
And you,
But soft you. A word before you go.
You got your big break doing sketch comedy on In Living Color on Fox. And prior to that, I think you were in
Absolutely.
You had worked with Keenan before that, right?
Here's the deal. Like, I met Robert Townsend because we were doing Soldier's Story, directed by Norman Jewison. Now, before that, I worked with Denzel and Sam Jackson. We were all in the stage version of Soldier's Play off Broadway. Yeah, in New York. And then it became a movie. And not everybody transferred to film. Like, Sam's character was written out of the movie. And at the time, I remember saying, like, damn, it's too bad about Sam Jackson, man. His career didn't really make it. Here we all in this movie, you know. What's gonna happen? He's fine. We all know Sam is fine. Don't worry about Sam. Sam is cool. But in that moment, you know, I was like, wow, okay, well, I guess that's it. Yeah.
Were you a part of? Because I was reading an interview with Sam Jackson recently where he was talking about
Did he mention me?
Early days.
He didn't talk about me?
Well, this is where my question lies.
Okay.
Were you a part of the crew with like Sam and Denzel, like actors in New York, like working together?
Well, we shared a dressing room. And I came into Soldier's Play to replace an actor, Larry Riley. So they were already well established. There was a little 12-inch black and white TV that was mounted up high in the corner. And the go-to show that they used to watch every single day was Family Feud. So, and Sam Jackson ruled the dressing room. So he would talk about everybody. He would be like, man, what the hell were you doing in that scene, man? You keep dropping your lines, motherfucker. Oh yeah, it was like you didn't want to mess with Sam because Sam would read you immediately. So it was, oh yeah, it was fun. There were 2 dressing rooms. That was the dressing room I was in. And then Denzel, there was a much smaller one. They were like right down the hall. So you had to interact. It was a communal experience. You know?
I've interviewed Sam a couple times. He immediately sizes you up to see how much he can fuck with you. Like that's sort of.
Oh, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, well, who is this?
What am I gonna get away with this guy?
Yeah.
Let me see. And usually it's everything.
Hey man, well, I'd done the first, which was like my first professional job. It was a musical about Jackie Robinson, the first African-American ball player, which I can see by these faces, you're like, wow, that needs to be made a musical of. Like I had a song, you know, I was like, Mama, I can play this game as good as the white man. Yeah, you know, something like that.
That sounds like...
I'm not kidding. It ran 3 weeks.
That sounds like an In Living Color sketch.
It wasn't. It was for real. So that ran 3 weeks, and yeah, for years I was like, why did it flop? I mean, come on. You know, so that's what I was coming off of. And I went right into Soldier's Play. It was beautiful. It was an amazing experience. The late, great Adolph Caesar, who I think won an Obie that year, and he was just a force of nature. So I learned so much in that experience. It was very, yeah.
So we're talking about this period of time in entertainment where once you sort of fell into one place, it was hard to sort of move into others. So you're coming from dramatic acting, and you go into In Living Color, which is a sketch comedy show, and you're, you know, a dramatic actor in a lot of ways.
People didn't know I was funny. You know, because when I started out, because I only did, like I did Streamers, I did, Soldier Story. So they thought I was just this young black dramatic actor. Nobody knew I was funny. And that year that we did the pilot for In Living Color, it was like I had auditioned for like 30 pilots, you know, and I had become the guy who was like, David, it's for a young white woman who's 20, or you. No, you know, they may go a different way. So yeah, I was that dude. Exactly, I was that dude. You know, maybe you'll break the spell. And nothing really clicked, and none of the scripts were really good. And then there was In Living Color, which I knew I would have fun on because all my friends were on it. But my agents, everybody said, you can't do this. I mean, you know, look at what we're building. You know, we're building your career based on forgettable dramatic roles as upstanding Negroes. Why would you challenge that, David? We have a 20-year plan. You know, but so I just, for nothing to lose, I finally, Kim Wayans is the one who really talked me into it because I said no 2 times, 3 times, and she said, no, you have to do this show. This is gonna change your career. Trust me. And I did. I mean, I'd moved back to New York, and I finally said, okay, I'll do it. And she was absolutely right. I mean, you all know what happened. I mean, that's the reason why most people know me. So it was right. Listen to a black woman. She hooked me up. So yeah, thank you, Kim.
And do you remember shooting the pilot for that show? What the pilot was
absolutely.
like? What that shoot was like?
Well, first of all, there was total freedom, no fear. Because I know in my mind, I never ever thought that a network was going to pick this show up. Because it was just buck wild. I mean, the pilot was an hour long. We did the pilot, and it didn't get picked up for a year. So when I would go and do other jobs, it became that underground show. Like I remember I did a guest spot on Elf, which, a quick sidebar, you couldn't call Elf. You guys are too young, but Elf was like a Muppet ripoff. But you could not say the M word, or else they would fuck you up. You know, so they said, now he's not a Muppet. He's not a Muppet, man. He's not a Muppet. I was like, okay. So I was on like Alf, and all the crew would pull me aside. They say, man, what is this thing we saw? Because they had all seen In Living Color. I would go and do
Alf seen In Living Color?
You don't talk to Alf. And as a matter of fact, also the puppeteer, you only talk to Alf. You understand? You couldn't talk to the puppeteer because he wanted people to deal with Alf as a person. It was wild. So anyway, that's what the deal was. So it was really that vibe, and people would go, I don't know what the name of it is, but this is the funniest shit I've ever seen. And we actually got reviewed in Vanity Fair before we were ever picked up. So it was that kind of show. It's something I've never been involved in before since that was that. It was just in the moment. It had that flavor to it. We finally got picked up, and it was gangbusters. It was gangbusters. I remember I came to see Chris Rock at Saturday Night Live, and Lorne Michaels, everybody, they treated me like I was famous. And I say that not to be facetious, but when we did In Living Color, we would just do the stuff, get in our cars, go eat, go hang out, and then go home. But in New York, it's so intense. Like the people are there, the audience is there, the press, the gossip, columnists, the photographers. So it was that kind of thing. That's not the way we were doing our show. The environment just wasn't there. So what I'm saying is I didn't really understand the impact of the show for a while until after I got out of LA and, talked to people.
And I feel like that you guys probably had a lot more freedom at In Living Color in
Total
those days
freedom.
than even like Saturday Night Live might have had.
Total freedom, because the way it was constructed, first of all, Keenan would say this all the time. He said, you should enjoy this freedom. Because we were all much younger then, and it was like you probably never worked with this many people of color. I mean, from the writers, the producers, the creators, the performers.
Jim Carrey.
He won't even let us have this one moment, man. See, this is how Trump got elected, man.
I meant it as a joke. I didn't mean it as if like he needed to be mentioned. My
Yes,
apologies.
you did.
No.
He's already tweeting. He said, I didn't let you down. I didn't let you down. No,
Do not forget Jim Carrey at In Living Color.
No, but what I mean, yeah. But everybody, we were all, in folly in youth. We were like, yeah, right, old man. We're gonna do this every job, But it was that we were protected, so that we would just throw stuff out there. I don't ever remember I shouldn't do this or this may not be politically correct. I mean, it was basically we had this big table and we would come in the first thing in the morning and eat breakfast and then start rehearsing. And that's where all the comedy started, because Fire Marshal Bill, that was the first time, like, Jim would do that to make us laugh. Some of the stuff, Mr. McAfee, who was like the guy with the club foot, who was my high school guidance counselor, started there to tease Marlon when he was like a little kid, and Sean, and they, after like 2 or 3 days, we would go, man, you got to put that on the show, man, because it's funny. And
Marlon and Sean were hanging out around there when they were little
Marlon
kids
was.
too? Oh.
Well, Sean was on the show as the fake DJ.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. And then he
and there was an uproar, by the way, at the hip hop community. So, man, he ain't no real DJ, man. Okay, sorry. Yeah, he's not. But I mean, Marlon was like 16 or something like that. He had just, he's in high school. He would come and visit. But yeah, he would hang around. Why wouldn't you? Come on, hell yeah. Yeah, so that was a genesis. And we never had to deal with the censors, the network. We were sheltered. Like, we had our downstairs rehearsal space, and one of the producers was dedicated to just deal with the censors. So we just kind of created shit, and I've never had a situation since like that. That was that pure. And, people said no, because if it got really outrageous, but basically that's what it was. And I think that was the key to the success of the show. Like, we never said, I want to appeal to, Asian Americans who earn $75,000 to $150,000 a year. No, we just did stuff that was funny. Did stuff from our point of view, and hopefully you guys will like it too.
Do you remember a sketch that got censored at all? Like one that they ended up having to say no to?
Yeah, well, the Headleys was about this hardworking Jamaican family. And I was supposed to play the dad, but I couldn't do a Jamaican accent because my accent sounded like an Irish accent. John Donovan Lucky Charms. That's his Jamaican. They're like, nah, brother, take a seat. So I think Damon took that over. And that was another thing. Like, we would read a sketch, and it was real quick. There was really no ego. I mean, if it didn't really work, we'll pass it down. Because for Men On, initially it was Keenan and Damon, and all of the movies that they reviewed, they were brothers, Dickie and Donnie or something like that, and they were all made-up movies. And then I asked him, I said, well, let me and Damon try this. And we used real movies, and I think that was part of the humor, which is these were just normal movies, and we inferred our point of view onto them, which became funny because when I lived in New York, there was a public access show, and it was something like called In the Closet or whatever, and all you heard is this dude's voice. So he would show like a shower scene from Top Gun, and he'd be like, "This for all you guys who are in the closet. Let's look at Tom Cruise in his underwear, gentlemen." You know, so it was all like, ooh. Yeah, but it was really funny. It was really funny. So we would do straight films, and we would just infer our gayness on it, you know, so that's what it was.
Now, after the success of In Living Color and when it ended, did you try to go back to, was it hard for you to find dramatic roles? Did you want to try to go back to dramatic roles? Because I remember you appearing in a lot of comedies, a lot more comedic television shows and movies as well.
Yeah, well, after In Living Color, my biggest desire, my goal, I wanted my own show, conventional sitcom, you know. Seinfeld at the time was the hugest thing in show business, so I wanted to just do that, you know, and that's what I tried to make come about in that moment at that time. Right after In Living Color, I'd hosted Saturday Night Live twice, and they actually brought me in and they asked me to join Saturday Night Live, and I was like, no, I just come off of Living Color. I felt like there was no way I could top that going into another sketch show. Plus, one that had a totally different vibe. It had been on for what I thought was forever, you know, at that time. And also, I didn't want to be the host and then all of a sudden I was in the back of the line, you know what I mean? It was like, wasn't he the lead singer? What's going on, you know? So for a lot of reasons, I didn't want to do that, but I got a deal to do my own show on NBC, which immediately flopped. So it was just like, you know, but that's the nature of an actor, you know?
You just keep going.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys, I mean, you've done some dramatic work since then. Obviously, you were in a David Mamet play, which is a pretty unbelievable achievement. What was that like? What was it like working with Mr. Mamet?
Well, David Mamet was one of my, and remains one of my heroes, you know, one of my theatrical heroes. But the real story is, okay, I had done Dancing with the Stars. I got voted off. I was getting a divorce. I was like, damn, what the fuck? So I read this script, this David Mamet script, and I was like, I remember I prayed in the car. I was like, please, God, give me this role. Bring me some dignity, please. So I got this job. I was so happy, man. I was so happy to do real work, good work, you know, with this incredible cast, and I just reveled in it. I remember I never left the stage. Like when my character wasn't there, I would sit right off stage and listen every night and just ate every minute up. I mean, it was an awesome, awesome experience. So the Tony nominations come out. I get nominated for a Tony, and I remember the producer calls and he goes, David, let's not celebrate at the theater. We don't want to upset the other actors. I was like, okay. So yeah, it's always crazy. It's always, but it became a big joke, so it wasn't.
It's gonna be like the other actors seriously happened. Like he didn't get nominated.
That seriously happened. It's not a joke, but you know the cast, they just started goofing on me and stuff, so it became a big joke. But yeah, it was weird.
So Mamet's one of your heroes. You get the chance to work with him. Did he live up to his heroic status as a hero?
I don't know if you guys know that much about David Mamet, but I mean, his reputation is of a real hard-ass taskmaster. He don't mess with my words. You know, I don't want to hear about what you actors think or feel.
Metronome, too, a lot of the times, right?
But none of that. I mean, in fact, he out of all the people I've worked with in my career, there are so many times where you work with individuals who don't really love what they're doing, don't really revel in where they're at, and especially don't appreciate your talent and your passion. David Mamet was all of that. He loves actors. He loved the theater. Every day was just like a celebration, and it was total input. I mean, it was a collaborative process, and I couldn't believe. One time he came in at the very end, he said, look, I've solved the play. I'm going to rewrite the ending, and we all go, no, no, no. no. And we talked him out of it and talked him down from the cliff. And it was incredible. I mean, he was the total opposite of what you expect. So it was great.
And you know, speaking of plays, the Carmichael Show really it just finished its run, right? I mean,
it's called being canceled, but I like your positive spin. He's like, you mutually agreed to no longer see each other, so
very much like a play. Like each episode was sort of its own play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I loved about that show was that it would seem like the writers would sit down and be like, this is the topic we want to discuss. Let's come up with a really great story or sort of like, you know, one act play really about that.
Well, a real conversation, which is more organic and a lot of times no punchline. You know, we've all seen the sitcoms where the, you know, precocious 7-year-old says, hey, that's an onomatopoeia, bingo, and they walk out. So it wasn't like that. A lot of times the scenes would go, it was an elongated conversation is what you said. All of that came from Jerrod's brain. And it was just a great experience working with him and Loretta Devine, who we were in Dreamgirls on Broadway together, known each other over 30 years. So it was like a real marriage, you know? No sex, just arguing. Yeah.
When you do a show like that and you work with someone like Jerrod, who is clearly brilliant, but young, and you know he's new to a lot of it. Wow. Do you try to bring a lot of experience and a lot of advice, or do you sort of want to see him or like allow him to kind of find his own way, and you don't want to?
Well, here's the deal. I really feel like, and I felt like it was important for me to respect his vision, or else I shouldn't be there. Also, to support him. So it's not. I never wanted to come in there and be like, man, give me the mic, man. You know, I'll teach you. No, I was there as a reservoir if he wanted to tap that, but I thought it was really important to respect and support his leadership role. I mean, because that is how you mentor and help an artist to grow, because they have to stand on their own, and they need that support, you know, and he didn't need it. I mean, he handled the pressure. There's so much pressure of your own show. He had to fight the network. I mean, trust me, everything we tried or wanted to do on the Carmichael Show, no. He never, ever brought that into the rehearsal.
People take that for granted. You know, they see a show that's doing its own thing, and they think that he walked in there with that idea and was like, let's go. And it's like, no, they liked him. They started developing something, and he had to push. For all those little things that seem a little different, there were multiple no's, I would imagine, that he had to push through.
Black folks don't know what I'm about to say, but even down to the cast photo, you know, the network was like, guys, can you smile bigger, please? Can you please just hold the chicken a little higher and smile? You know, he's like, no. You know, all of that, which somebody's got to fight your battles, you know. And he was in the trenches. But listen, I'm so proud of that show. Yeah. I'm glad that we got a chance to kick it for 3 seasons. I wish we were still on, that we had done more episodes, but I'm proud of the work we did. You know?
What was it like to get to explore the issues that you guys got to explore?
It was great. I mean, even this last season, which we started filming in January, and I was really mad about, because I was like, we kind of skipped the November election. We kind of produced the shows blind because we didn't know when they were going to air, so you didn't know how topical you could be, but everything kind of fell into place anyway. A lot of those episodes, when they dropped, they were so in and of the moment, which is great. I mean, it just worked out, so. Sometimes it happens that way. And
speaking of being topical, a few days ago, you did a return to some of your sketch roots. You did a sketch for Jimmy Kimmel talking about the Justice Department's decision to focus on discrimination against white people.
We'll help our white brothers and sisters. Because perhaps we as African Americans have taken up too much room.
I don't get enough, David.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to change that. The police have been so concerned with me getting home safely that now they'll have some time for you.
Well, how did that bit come about? Did they call you and ask you to take part in it? Did you call them and say, I'd love to do something like that?
Well, you know, that story thing broke over the weekend. I was scheduled to go on Jimmy Kimmel, and if you guys remember, I did a thing a while ago called How to Tell Black People Apart, you know, and it was a book, you know, a guide for white people to, who get people confused, because that was based on the Sam Jackson thing when this reporter thought he was somebody else. And Sam Jackson, no, I'm the other dude. I'm the other black dude, man. So it just was...
that with Sam I can't imagine a scarier instance in life.
That was every day, trust me. He was like, wait a minute. But anyway, it just came at the last minute. Jimmy said, would you do this? We barely had time, so we didn't have time to pre-tape it, so we just did it live. But that's another instance of good writing, because a lot of my friends go, you wrote that, right? And I go, no, I didn't actually, but it sounds as if I did, so that's good writing. And we just did it, man, and it blew up, so it was cool, yeah.
What has the... I don't know if GSN's gonna like this.
Go for it.
What has life been like for you since November? How are you feeling?
You know, I went to see Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle last night, and we were talking backstage about that. You know, you try to make it glass half full, and I mentioned the concert because Dave Chappelle said something that I've been thinking, like, you know, I said, maybe this is, in a strange, perverse way, this is what America needs to wake us up out of our complacency. So out of all this depression and feeling bad, I actually snapped to and said, basically, we're back to the America I've grown up in, okay? Really, the outlier was the last 8 years, okay? A black president, everything was beautiful, you know, all the hatred and vilification, homophobia, race baiting, right-wing politics, that's the world I grew up in, sad to say. So we'll make it through. Hopefully, people will take this time to reorganize and come back. What's the worst that could happen? 8 years of this knucklehead, but, you know.
I go for that same exact half-full approach as well, which is like...
That's the only thing I can say. What are you going to say to get to bed? I was like, you know, maybe this is what we need.
It's the idea that, you know, we had moved past so much and hopefully evolved past so much, but now we have this knucklehead, as you said, who's bringing us back, but is the worst at PR a president or an administration has ever been, so people at the very least are getting angry about it because he can't hide how stupid and hateful he is.
I can't keep up. I mean, I do wake up every morning at 5 and turn on the news feed, you know, it's like, you know, what happened today? But we just can't be complacent. I also have a 9-year-old daughter. I mean, I can't give up. I mean, I naturally am a hopeful person, but hope and positivity takes hard work. You can't just sit back. But I was gonna say, you know, right after Obama was elected, I'd done a show called Chocolate News. Yeah, and I came to New York and I was performing, and I remember I was doing Obama jokes. Back then, nobody was doing it. Like, and these white people look at each other and they're like, but we can't laugh at this because there's no more racism. I was like, just wait. So it was about 48 hours. What is this nigga doing? You know, so we were right back to the usual.
No racism, hold on, let me turn Fox News on and we can take a look.
But I'm not making that up. I mean, that was seriously the vibe. Like, you know, America did it. You know, the whole world was like, we have done...
Are we post-race?
Yes. People thought for a minute, you know, that this is it. This is a reality, but it's not that simple.
No, we're not post-race. I'm still talking about Jim Carrey on In Living Color.
I thought you were going to say Jim Crow. I was like, damn, he done turned the corner. And you had to bring that white boy back up.
Same thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Jim Crow, Jim Carrey, it's all the same. Right, yeah.
Let's get some questions from the audience. What do we have here?
How are you?
Hi. So out of all the characters that you did in Living Color, what are your favorite ones that you do today, like in your lifestyle?
I don't do any characters from the show in my lifestyle. I mean, my lifestyle is just old-ass black dude with a young daughter. I mean, but if you want to say, like, what are some of my favorite characters, Jamie Foxx and I did these old black barbers, and I liked it. It wasn't one of the most popular characters, but it was very much in and of my life. I mean, I got my hair cut at the Motor City Barber Shop, 2 blocks from my house in Detroit, Michigan. These were all old-ass black dudes. You went in, you pointed to the poster on the wall, which came from Larry Wilmore and his brother, who were both writers. Because we said back then, because, you know, back then when everybody was doing the fro, you know, and they had an Afro chart. So everybody be like, I want you to fade it up. Point to the wall. Point to the wall. Point to the picture, motherfucker. You know, that's really what happened. Point to the picture. Is it number 1 or number 9? You know, say, well, give me your number 2. All right, sit your ass down. And they would cut it, and that was, because it was so real, man. That was it. So that's probably my favorite character. Yeah.
Next question.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
If the roles were reversed and you were a contestant on Snap Decision, would you be successful?
Probably not, because I don't have no chill, man. I don't have any chill. I would try to win that money, but I don't think so, because really, Snap Decision is based on, it really should be called profiling. You know what I mean? It should, because that's the fun of the game. You know, you have to kind of push past your base Snap initial generalization, and that's what attracted me to the game. And you get to play with those stereotypes. You know, you have 2 old white ladies and this big black dude. You say, who is a hip-hop artist? Well, you can see people like, I want to say it's a black dude, but I can't. Maybe he's trying to trick me. So whoever goes for that obvious stereotype, that just opens a window for me. Why would you say that? Just because he's big and black? He can't sing opera. He can't, you know, so that it becomes political and fun. It's not too heavy, yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Hi there.
How you doing?
So you've clearly been a part of diverse projects throughout your career, but what was it like specifically working or being a part of the Wiz Live team a couple of years ago and performing that show for television?
That was awesome. I mean, I've never done a project like that. Basically, we rehearsed for 2 months for just one performance. And it was very much every day. Kenny Leon, who directed it, was like, this is it. You can't, there's no redo. There's no do-over. So I turned my phone off because I really did not want to get caught up in Twitter and all that stuff, because, you know, Black Twitter will kill you. You don't know nothing about that. Because the tweets leading up with, y'all better not fuck this up. This better be right. Seriously, all day and all night. I was like, ooh, man. So I turned my phone off, and when I finally got back to my trailer at the end of the production, I waited, and after I got out of everything, I turned on Twitter, and I just burst into tears. There was so much love, so much joy, so many people, thousands of people. I got emails from girls I went to elementary school with, talking about I'm jumping on my bed with my daughter. You know, grown women saying that what the show had meant to them. Like, this was the first time as a young black girl seeing your face, your color, your hue, your person at the center of this drama, this entertainment. And unless you've ever been in that situation growing up in America, when we saw an extra on this airline commercial, it was literally like, blackface. The phones lit up. It's like, girl, turn on the TV. They got this black woman on this. Yeah, I mean, that's how big it was, because you want to see yourself represented in society, you know, and that's why I understand all of these different groups, black, brown, women, gay, whatever, to be acknowledged means everything, because I'm old enough to remember where it was basically all white. There were no black. I remember the first black Santa Claus, you know, so all the black people in Detroit were like, no Asian, just black and white, that was it. So, but that meant everything. That meant, okay, so now I know, now I belong in this society. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot. It was amazing, it was great, because I feel like we got it for the most part. It was right, and it was one of those things, you know, I feel really proud of it.
Jumping off that idea of representation, what was it like for you sort of trying to break into the industry in the 70s and 80s in a time where black people were even less represented than they are now?
I just, you know, I talk about the folly of youth. I remember just being bullheaded. I mean, the facts are, even today, less than 1% of the Screen Actors Guild working actors make more than $5,000 a year, okay? So for anyone, it's like saying I'm gonna play in the NBA to say I'll be a famous actor, or I'm gonna play pro football. The odds are against you. So you have to be pig-headed, you have to be stubborn, you have to have total belief in yourself, and you have to have a thick skin, because part of making it, from Michael Jordan to Bill Gates, you know, that axiom that we all hate to hear, you fall down 98 times to stand up on the 99th time, that is what it is. So you can't wait for people to define you. Because every time you go into an audition, they go, oh, I think I know what you are. I think I know what you're capable of doing. I see your limitations. You say, no, 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 this is not what I am. This is what I see myself as. So it requires all of that. And I just didn't believe the hype. I mean, from day one, I was like, I want a place at this table. I think I have something to offer, and I'm gonna go for broke. And it worked out, kind of, sort of. So here I am.
It absolutely worked out.
But wait, in the middle of that answer, I totally lost my place, and I was like, damn, what the fuck was I answering? Then I found it,
No,
then
you
I came back around. Woo!
All right.
Could have gone the other way. I was like, uh-oh.
David, when can people tune in to Snap Decision?
Tonight. I think they're airing it 4 times. I think something like that, a lot. So it's syndicated, it's out there, and we move on. We keep pushing, man.
David Alan Grier, everybody.